Welcome back. At the end of the last session, we had talked about classifications of the broader level. Actually speaking, if you take Yajurveda, the Krishna Yajurveda and Shukla Yajurveda has got further classifications and multiple Samhitas. What is followed in the southern part of India is the Taittiriya Samhita. So to have reference, if any of the viewers are interested in further reference, you can go to the site www.vedicheritage.gov.in and subpage Samhita. You will see how much of classifications are there existing now in India. Let us start this session with what are the Angas, parts or limbs as they call, of the Vedas. There are 6 parts or limbs. They are Siksha, Kalpam, Vyakaranam, Chandas, Niruktam or Nikrutam and Jyotisham. Your Vedic study is supposed to be only complete if you have learned the techniques and understood the importance of all these 6 parts of the Veda. First, let us look at Siksha. Siksha is the basic lessons on the various aspects of the Veda basics. If you take, there is a Siksha for Swara. It's called Swara Siksha. There is a Varna Siksha, the Siksha of the sounds. Pluta Siksha. Like, there are many Sikshas that are there for each of the shakas of the Veda. To gain a good knowledge of this, a good reference is available in the Maharishi Institute of Management. So I'll request Suresh to show those pages. You must have noticed that there is quite a number of Sikshas for the Krishna Yajurveda itself. The second part is called Kalpam. Kalpam is nothing but the lessons on how the Veda mantras have to be recited. Some part of the Kalpam will be available in the Siksha. When we talk to Vedic experts and masters in the Padashala, they say the Kalpam is actually the practical application of how what is in the Siksha has to be recited. So, how to slide a Swara or how to recite a Swara Bhakti, how to give a pause is learnt practically from the Guru. So, the Kalpam is the practical side of learning how to recite the Vedas from the Guru. The third area that we come across is Vyakaranam. The meaning of Vyakaranam is grammar. The Vedic student should also learn a certain level of grammar so that he has a good grasp of how the sandhis occur, how certain words will have to be taken together when sandhis come or give a pause. Some of the famous books that we have for Vyakaranam could be, the classical book is Panini's Ashtadhyayi. Though it deals with the classical Sanskrit as a language, Ashtadhyayi has lot of reference to Vedic concepts, how Swaram is acquired based on a Padam and the type of Padam it is in terms of noun, verb, what is the case ending for a prefix, affix. Therefore, Panini's Ashtadhyayi throws a lot of light into the grammar. The special book which is normally referred to and it forms the foundation for Vedic grammar is Taittiriya Pradishakyam, which has been compiled quite a number of years, maybe hundreds and thousands of years before Panini's work was compiled. Panini seems to have lived, as per reference in the book, around the 3rd century BC, whereas the Pradishakyam date goes further back as per the reference we get in the books. The fourth item or the leg or the limb is Chandas. Chandas is a meter. I said, what is this meter? It is nothing like, it is like a grammar of poetry. For example, if you recite a Gayatri Chandas, it will have 3 parts, what is called padams of legs of 8 akshara, 8 letters each. You take Anushtup Chandas. The Anushtup Chandas consists of 32 letters grouped into 4 parts, each consisting of 8 letters, as you see in Vishnu Sahasranamam, Lalita Sahasranamam, etc. There is a clear rule as to how to recite the Chandas. Normally there are 7 main chandas, but rishis have come with their own variations of chandas. One looks at the Kandam 4, I think Prapatakam 3, the Samhita makes a reference to lot of chandas, not the normal ones that we have heard of. So one learns chandas correctly, the basics of chandas, so that the recital of a mantra for that chandas is made perfectly. Chandas is supposed to deliver the vibration of the Veda mantra in a more effective way. The next part is called Niruttam. It is also referred sometimes as Nikridam. The Sanskrit dictionary gives the same meaning as it is the etymology of the language. In a Niruttam, one learns how a word or a padam has been formed, how prefix and affix comes, how it is affected. This is learnt mainly by the student so that he is able to split very difficult words in the Vedic text. The last anga is the Jyotisha. A student, after learning Vedas, must perform certain ceremonies or be a part to assist his guru or a pandit. So he should have basic minimum understanding of the Jyotisha Shastra so that he can help conduct, or as he gains experience, he can conduct the ceremonies in terms of right times which are auspicious and also avoid inauspicious times. Then let us go to the Upangas of the Veda. First is Mimamsa. The Mimamsa is the philosophy of the subject that is dealt with and its articulation and description. Next comes Nyayam. Nyayam is the rules, regulations and methods and procedures with which a ceremony or a function or a prayer has to be conducted. Then it has to be supported by the next part, which is Purana. Purana are our epics which give us the guidelines to our conduct, and there are a lot of spiritual guidance that is available. It also gives some importance for the ceremony to be conducted in a particular way. Just for the information of the viewers, there are 18 classical Puranas. There could be others also. Some of the important ones you must have heard of is like Shiva Purana, Vishnu Purana, Markandeya Purana, Brahmanda Purana, Garuda Purana. The Garuda Purana specially deals with the journey of a soul after it has left the body and how it can attain a better state or a salvation. It appears as a conversation between Lord Vishnu and Garuda. Then we go to Dharma Sastras, which gives the law of righteousness, social rules and regulations as to how it is to be conducted. These are all supported by advices from sages and scholars of the current times, because times are changing, our lifestyles are changing, culture is also slightly moving away from our basic roots because of the current status of our economy, living and so-called development. Now, once a scholar gets a doubt, normally they go to a sage like Kanchi Acharya or Sringeri Acharya or some other learned scholars for advice as to how certain things have to be conducted when conducting the ceremony or a function or a prayer cannot be done exactly as per the methods or procedures prescribed in the Purana Sastras, etc. Now, let us see what is the mantra. The mantra is nothing but actually a divine and a focused sound. The sound has got a definite vibration, and the vibration works in terms of the sound of letters, the swaras, and also the chandas in which the mantra is recited. This vibration has an effect on what we call Panchabhuta, or the 5 basic elements like fire, water, air, space and earth. We must have studied in physics that soldiers are asked to break their march past on a bridge so that a unified vibration does not affect or weaken the bridge. Similarly, we must have also studied about a tuning fork. When it is tuned to a particular vibration, it can break physically some material. The Veda mantras are also like a tuning fork example, which gives out the vibration externally, or the vibration is internally built in to perfect first one's body, mind. But as one recites Veda mantra, they have to follow lot of yama and niyama, because you cannot start reciting Vedas with your stomach full. So first, it is reflected, your body itself has to be prepared for the Vedic recital. Finally, a proper recital of Vedas leads to unification of the body, mind, and all your internal energies. Very important thing is the significance of the effect of a mantra has to be felt and experienced. It is not the way easy as it seems. And for example, when you recite a Veda mantra, the deities to whom you are making the offering are very much present in the holy fire. See, in the pictures that were shown, just you see that a deity or Ishtadevata on whom you have a lot of love and devotion, they show up. And in current times, at least on Facebook, I have seen n number of instances. People conduct Avahanti Homa on Anusha Nakshatra, the star of our Kanchi Acharya. Many times Kanchi Acharya has appeared in the holy fire. It is not only that, he was wearing spectacles after a certain age. The holy fire shows as if he is wearing the spectacles, how we would see him live. So this is something, the Veda mantras have an effect to draw energies when you recite them with love and affection and dedication. Kindly note that the Veda mantras have to be learnt under the proper guidance of a guru. Otherwise, if you self-learn or just listen to YouTube, cassettes, CDs or any kind of media and learn, you may recite and make unintended vibration that will give you negative effect. If Vedas were so easy to learn, Americans would have already published a book by name Vedas for Dummies, or in India a publication would have come, Learn Veda in 30 days. It is impossible to perfect Vedas sometimes even after 30 years. So please remember, we have compiled book and we keep on saying that these have to be learnt under the guidance of a guru. Use our books after showing it to your guru and start using it, understanding the conventions used in our book so that you learn Vedas properly. First and foremost, a guru is a must. One of our learning colleagues, he never says he is learned, has referred to an article where a Vedic expert says one has to learn nearly 46 items, meaning the Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyam, along with various Sikshas, Satras and Sutras. After learning these 46 books or subjects, he says a person can become thorough and he can say he is reasonably learned the Krishna Yajurveda Shaka. Therefore, you can imagine why I said 30 years.